when for too long I don't go deep enough into the woods to see them. They begin to enter my dreams. Yes, there they are in the pine woods of my inner life. I want to live a life full of modesty and praise. Each hoof of each animal makes the sign of the heart as it touches, then lifts away from the ground. Unless you believe that heaven is near, how will you find it? Their eyes are pools in which one would be content on any summer afternoon to swim away through the door of the world. Then love and its blessing. Then heaven. It's taking a comfortable seat, feeling your feet flat on the floor if you're sitting in a chair. Letting your hands rest upward in that pose of receptivity. It's a mudra. It says, I allow for this, whatever comes. And then straightening the back ever so slightly. Softening the muscles of the face. Straightening the neck, if it's possible, even if by a millimeter. And then as we do, putting your awareness right here, right in the middle of your forehead. Feeling the heat of attention rising to that place. And then in the throat, however it's possible for you, letting go of the tension in the neck and in the throat, which is where I hold all of mine. And just keeping those hands open to what comes. And then opening the heart to allow what comes, like a drawbridge coming down from a fortified castle. And just as an experiment, to allow what comes. And then softening the belly. And that's when we arrive here. This is when the walls begin to widen and the ceiling rises, we feel that this room that we're sitting in has the qualities of a cathedral. The quietness sets in, the sense of the air being still. Like Dickinson says, when it comes, the landscape listens and shadows hold their breath. We feel the landscape starting to listen. Naomi Shihab Nye says, we go to kindness and kindness comes to us and says, it's I you've been looking for. It's true of silence too, and awareness. And even the deer, they come to us when we're willing to go to them. Feeling the landscape listening, just lengthen your breath in that conduit between the heart and the head. Take a breath to the count of 4 inward. And then pause for a moment at the top. And then release it to the count of 5. As I like to say in my own meditations, breathing in, I know this world is an illusory world, all the way to the top of the breath. Breathing out, I choose this world to help relieve the suffering of others, however I can, whenever I can. Breathing in, I know this world with all its trouble is a dream. Breathing out, I participate in the dream. And I choose wholesomeness and compassion as the activity of that dreaming. The faces of deer. When for too long, I don't go deep enough into the woods to see them, they begin to enter my dreams. Yes, there they are, in the pine woods of my inner life. I want to live a life full of modesty and praise. Each hoof of each animal makes the sign of a heart as it touches, then lifts away from the ground. Unless you believe that heaven is very near, how will you find it? Their eyes are pools in which one would be content on any summer afternoon to swim away through the door of the world. then love and its blessing, then heaven. We're now 2 spokes into our conversation about the Eightfold Path. We started with right view that simply asks, am I so sure about what I so earnestly believed all along? Right view just sort of says, take your seat and find your foundation in the Four Noble Truths. Okay, this is where I start. Everybody suffers. Right thought takes it a little bit further and says, where am I actually right now? Am I in the future? Am I in the past? What am I actually doing as I stand here washing the dishes while floating elsewhere? Right thought brings you home to the body and to this moment. But it also does this other thing, which is to align you with the right road, with the wholesome road, with the skillful road. And in our meditations, we practice the skillful responses because we give ourselves the space to have an experiment to allow everything. Last week, I quoted the wonderful letter of my friend from Minnesota who told us of the whistles that everyone is wearing in her neighborhood to signal safety and solidarity. And a whistle is sort of like right thought because it indicates an intention and it indicates a way of life. Before you say anything or before you do anything, you walk into that room with a whistle on and everybody knows what your intentions are, where you set your goals. Another way to think about that is the figure of the mask. You might ask yourself, what is the mask that you put on each day to face the world with? What is the mask that the world sees when it sees you entering the room? The face of the deer was most certainly the whistle and the mask that Mary Oliver is choosing to wear in this poem and in her life. There's no more signature line I can think of that describes Mary's way of life as I observed it firsthand than I want to live a life full of modesty and praise. When I started teaching, I got a lot of criticism because I praised too much. My colleagues told me that I praised the students too much. The students told me that I praised them too much. I praised them not to be liked, but because in that space, in the classroom, where I gave myself the space and the allowance to see what was real without the distractions of the outside world, in that container, I really felt it. It wasn't a ruse. I was amazed often by what I saw in my students. It's another example of how in a teaching situation, you're really giving yourself a gift as a teacher, even though it's a life of service in ways you could never expect. You're giving yourself this incredible gift to give space to your best self over and over again, day after day. And with the praise comes the other side of what Mary's talking about in this poem, which is the modesty. You actually want to live this life of modesty. And it's a very potent intention because the modesty comes with feeling the service of your role. You just keep asking yourself when you walk into a classroom, how can I serve them? I'm here to serve them, not to be loved by them, not to, hold power at the front of the room and be the person who uh, um, doles out information and wisdom, but to be engaged in these acts of service that come at you from every angle in ways you couldn't possibly predict. This is right thought. Just having that intention, how can I serve them? If I can only take that out of the classroom and bring it with me into my life, if I could only live that life of modesty and praise everywhere I go, I think I would really have something. Because even if we're failing constantly, at least we've planted the seeds of that intention. And that intention of modesty and praise is actually an act of resistance over those who live with egotism and cruelty and who seem to be successful in this world. Not just because it's the right thing, I feel, but because it, it feels holy, because it makes me feel whole. It protects me from the second arrow. Here's a poem again. The faces of deer. When for too long I don't go deep enough into the woods to see them, they begin to enter my dreams. Yes, there they are in the pine woods of my inner life. I want to live a life full of modesty and praise. Each hoof of each animal makes the sign of a heart as it touches, then lifts away from the ground. Unless you believe that heaven is very near, how will you find it? Their eyes are pools in which one would be content on any summer afternoon to swim away through the door of the world. Then love and its blessing. Then heaven. Getting back into that comfortable pose of receptivity, straightening the back a little, lengthening the neck. And softening everything. The cheeks, the jaw, the space around the heart. What if today, for our whistle or for our mask, we wore the face of modesty and praise? What if we got it wrong all day long, over and over again? Wouldn't there be something to the fact that we just want to keep that intention? Wouldn't there be a right road in that, even if we fell over and over? Even Mary says in her letter, I need to be more patient. I need to grow wiser. This coming from one of the wisest people, dearly loved for her wisdom. What if we wore that mask? Note the similarity here. I'm going to read something now from Thomas Merton. Note the similarity in Merton's prayer. Lord, I have no idea where I'm going. I do not see the road ahead of me. I cannot know for certain where it will end. Nor do I really know myself. And the fact that I think I'm following your will does not mean that I'm actually doing so. But I believe that the desire to please you does, in fact, please you. I believe that the desire to please you does, in fact, please you. And I hope I have that desire in all that I'm doing. I hope that I will never do anything apart from that desire. And I know that if I do this, you will lead me by the right road. Though I may know nothing about it. This prayer asks so little of me. All that I need is to hold on to that desire, to do the wholesome thing. And it suggests that right thought, that that seeking the right road, he even uses that term, the right road. Seeking that skillfulness, seeking that wholefulness, that wholesomeness will get you the whole way. Deepening the breath again. To the count of 4, counting in. I know this is an illusory world. And breathing out. But it's a world I choose to help relieve the suffering of others. This is from her letter, October 29th, 2004. I'm working hard writing, not going to the woods much, not traveling, and trying to arrange my hours so that I'm not exhausted, which I often am. This is not a complaint. Nobody in this broken world who isn't a child in Iraq or Palestine has a right to complain. But I do need to grow wiser, more accomplished at quick meals, jokes, and patience. And this she's saying about Molly, her partner, who was getting ill and who died a year later. So goes it. But I really mean it. Her spirits and her patience are extraordinary. May modesty be my mask today. When I enter every room, may praise be behind the words that I speak today. Then love and its blessing comes with that. Then heaven and transcendence and awakening follows out of that. The faces of deer. When for too long I don't go deep enough into the woods to see them, they begin to enter my dreams. Yes, there they are in the pine woods of my inner life. I want to live a life full of modesty and praise. Each hoof of each animal makes the sign of a heart as it touches, then lifts away from the ground. Unless you believe that heaven is very near, how will you find it? Their eyes are pools in which one would be content on any summer afternoon to swim away through the door of the world. Then love and its blessings. Then heaven. Thank you, everyone.